Hey guys, what's up? This is Vinnie Stevens here, and welcome to another video from my channel, and welcome to another episode of Final Reviews. So, I'm just going to keep this intro short and sweet. A couple of things before we start into this video, because I'm going to keep it short because there's a lot to get through. First of all my Noel Gallagher videos are now up on the channel, apart from one which I am editing them in it and kind of just merging two videos together, so that will be up hopefully probably after this video. And the second is apologies, I did say I would put up a video every day, but I thought I could get like the vinyl reviews and the editing and stuff done in one day, but unfortunately that hasn't happened and I've had kind of other things that I'm doing in this channel, which is going to be unveiled very soon. But anyway, back to this video. Today we're going to be reviewing dun 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 dun. Yes, it's Back in Black by AC/DC. So, yeah, I should really stop doing that. But anyway, enough of me talking. Let's get into the video. So, who are AC/DC? So, AC/DC is an Australian rock band that formed in Sydney, Australia in 1973. At the time of the release of Back in Black, it consisted of Malcolm Young, who was the founder of the band, rhythm guitarist and backing vocals. He was in the band from 1973 to 2014, and unfortunately died there in 2017. Angus Young, the other founder of the band and brother of Malcolm Young, on lead guitar. He has been in the band since 1973 and still the only original member of the band. Phil Rudd on drums. He was in the band from 1975 to 83, then again from 1984 to 2015. Cliff Williams on bass and backing vocals. He was in the band from 1977 to 2016. And Brian Johnson on lead vocals from 1980 to 2016. Brian Johnson was the guy who replaced Bon Scott on lead vocals. The band today only consists, as I said, of Angus Young, Chris Slade, who was the drummer for the band from 1989 to 1994. He rejoined the band in 2015. Stevie Young, who is the nephew of Malcolm Young, he joined in 2014. And Axl Rose, yes, the lead singer from Guns N' Roses, he joined the band in 2016. So the band genres are hard rock, blues rock, and rock and roll, but they have been classified as like a heavy metal band. The band have released 17 studio albums, 4 live albums, 11 video albums, 58 music videos, 1 EP, 47 singles, 2 soundtracks, and 2 box sets. Now on to the first part of 2, background of the album. So the first part of the background of the album, I've kind of split this into 2, so these clips aren't going to be long. So Back in Black is the 7th studio album by the band. It was produced by Robert John Lang, who is a big producer. The album was released on the 25th of July 1980 via Albert Productions and Atlantic Records. By the late 1970s, the band had significant popularity outside their home country, Australia, with their high-energy live performances and a series of successful albums. The band previously paired up with producer Matt Lang in 1978 to record their 1979 record Highway to Hell, which I will be reviewing very soon. This album was the first album to feature Brad Johnson, who replaced Bon Scott, who had died in February 1980. Shortly before the band started to record the album, the band were deciding to disband, but they continued on with Johnston. The album was recorded over 7 weeks in the Bahamas between April and May of 1980, and the group mixed in Electric Lady Studios in New York City. As their 6th album, this album was an unpredicted success. It sold 50 million copies worldwide, and its sales figures has made it one of the best-selling albums of all time. The band supported a year-long tour for the album and became the most popular musical acts of the early 1980s. The band has also received positive critical reputation during its internal release, and it has since been included on a numerous list of greatest albums. So now on to part 2 of the background of this album. Okay, part 2 of the background of the album, part 2. So by 1979, the band were poised to receive a significant level of success from their 6th studio album, Highway to Hell. The producer Robert Montline produced the record and making the band sound more catchy and accessible to international audiences, and it had become the first platinum album in the US, selling over 1 million copies. AC/DC first formed in 1973 and first broke internationally with their 4th record, Let There Be Rock. The band became famous with Angus Young's with his schoolboy outfit and singer Bon Scott's distinctive rapsy voice. As the new decade approached, the group set off on a UK and France tour for the final date of their previous album. So the band had planned to record a follow-up album. On the 19th of February of 1980, Scott went on a drinking binge in a London pub and lost consciousness. So after a friend let him rest in the back of a Renault 5 overnight. So the next day, Scott was found unresponsive and was rushed out to King's College Hospital in London, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. His death was caused by, I think, a premature aspiration of vomit, if I said that right, but the official cause was listed as acute alcoholic poisoning and classified as death by misadventure. Bon Scott's ashes were interred by his family at Fairmore Cemetery in Fremantle in Western Australia. Sorry, I can't speak. The loss obviously devastated the band. However, friends and family pursued them to carry on. After Bon Scott's funeral, the band immediately auditioned for a replacement singer. Ones who were auditioned were Gary Pickford Hawkins and Alan Freyer of Fat Lip, who were like Stevie Wright of the Easy Beats, were touted by the press as a certain replacement, but Geordie singer Brian Johnson was brought in and the band were impressed. After they went down a list of other applicants in the following days, Johnson was brought in for a second rehearsal, and on the 29th of March, Malcolm Young gave Johnson the job, to Johnson's surprise. It was officially announced as he was the lead singer of the band on the 8th of April 1980. So now on to recording and production. So recording and production. So of this So the recording and production of this album started with rehearsals for this album that were scheduled over 3 weeks at London's EC Hire Studios, but this was cut down to only just 1 week. When an opening came up at Compass Point Studio in the Zulu in the Bahamas, they preferred to record the album. The band had preferred to record the album in the UK, but at the time there was no studios available, and the Bahamas presents kind of a nice tax advantage. So upon their arrival to the area was hit by several tropical storms wreaking havoc on the studio's electricity. The band had equipment held up by customs, and other gear was brought over from the UK. Johnson felt pressure during the process of making this album, having never recorded with the group. None of Scott's writings were used for the album's lyrics, as the group felt it would be seemingly profit from his passing. Johnson reported having trouble adjusting to the environment, and as I said, he felt pressured. So the general audience in the studio was optimistic. Engineer for the album, Tony Platt, was dismayed. However, the fine studio rooms were not sonically compliantly to the group's sound, which was designed to be very dry and compact. Humorous echoed from the sessions. I don't know if I'm saying these right. I do apologise. Anyway, involved a recording being interrupted by a random crowd shuffling across the studio's wooden floor. Angus Young's particular guitar sound was achieved in part by using a wireless guitar device known as a Scaffer Vega diversity system, which is a Ken Scuffer, if that's how you say his name, design, which kind of provides like a signal boost. Sorry, I can't speak. Lang focused particularly attention on Johnson's vocals, demanding perfection out of each take. Near the end of the process, the band phoned manager Ian Jeffrey in search of a bell to include in the album. Jeffrey located a foundry to produce the bell, and these recordings did not suffocate due to the sound of birds flying away at each bell hit. The foundry brought forward production on the bell, which turned out to be perfectly tuned, and it was recorded at Ronnie Lyon's mobile studio. Also, whilst I'm on the recording production, someone actually once said to me, when they were recording this album, Brian Johnson was brought in the middle of the night, because the producer, Robert John Matline, thought he sound better at night. So on to the cover. So pretty much the cover is pretty basic. So the album's cover, the background for the front and the back is black. It's got the CDC logo at the top, which is in caps with the lightning bolt in the middle. It's got like a white light line, and then underneath, most people don't usually see this, but I might as well relight over it. It's got the title of the album, back in black, and in black obviously. As you might not be able to see, but anyway, So it's done in black as well, but the printing of this, it's the same with the logo. Rather than it being printed onto the cover, each letter is just like put on top of the cover separately. I don't know what you call that. Then at the back, in the middle, it's got like the songs all in caps and in the color white going down the ways. Then at the bottom, it's just the person who produced the album, Robert John McLean, and yeah, the Columbia Records barcode. Not actually part of the cover. Um, as a sign of as a sign of respect. That's why they yeah, as a sign of respect to Bon Scott. They made this album cover black, not into the script. So anyway, on to Reputation. So reputation of this album. So Back in Black, as I said, was released on the 25th of July 1980. So this was less than half a year after Bon Scott's death. He died on the 19th of February that year. AC/DC were nervous about the future of the band, with Angus saying they were a bit jittery during the recording of this album. However, the album provided to ease the band's worries as it became their best-selling, most popular, critically respected album. Not only it went to number one in the UK albums charts, the success of this album made them the first band since the Beatles to have 4 albums in the British top 100 simultaneously. That's how you say it. As Highway to Hell, If You Want Blood, You Got It, and Let There Be Rock all had re-entered the charts after Back in Black was released. In the US, the single You Shook Me All Night Long / Have a Drink on Me became AC/DC's first top 40 hit in the country, peaking at number 35. The title track, along with Hell's Bells, Shoot the Thrill, You Shook Me All Night, You Shook Me All Night Long, that's what I was meant to say, Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution, all became fan favourites and samples of the band's live performances. The other songs on Back in Black are pretty much largely ignored after the mid-80s. I know What Do You Do for Money, Honey was revived during the Stiff Upper Lip tour in the 2000s, and then their last tour, the Rock or Bust tour, they brought back songs Have a Drink on Me and Giving the Dog a Bone from this album. Despite their success, a guy called Robert Christgau, I think that's how you say his second name, wrote that Angus Young does come up with killer riffs, no, not consistently as a refined person like myself. Might hope and lead singer Brian Johnson sounds like a cattle prod at his scrotum. I think that's how you I don't know. Just a thing for the fans who can't decide whether their newfound testimony is agony or ecstasy. Chris Crew gave the album a B-. Now on to legacy of this album. So legacy. So this album has been featured on many best of lists albums over the years. I'm just going to name a few. So in 1989, which was the earliest one I found, this album was ranked at number 26 on Rolling Stones magazine's list of top 100 albums of the 80s. The title track was ranked at number 190 uh, on the same magazine list of 500 greatest songs of all time. In 2001, VH1 ranked this album at number 82 on the list of the top 100 albums. VH1 also placed the title track at number 2 on their list of 100 greatest hard rock songs. In 2003, the album was ranked at number 77 on the Rolling Stones list of the top 500 greatest albums of all time. 2006, Q Magazine placed the album at number 9 in its list of the 40 best albums of all time. It was listed at number 2 in the book 100 Best Australian Albums in October 2010, and was included in the book 100,001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die in 2005. So this album has been praised for its sound quality in the years after its release. Studios in Nashville, Tennessee, nicknamed Music City, would use it to check the acoustics of a room, while Motorhead would use it to tune their sound system. So now on to commercial performance. So commercial performance of this album. So if I just go, yep, there's notes there. So worldwide, this album was the second best-selling album of all time, only just behind Thriller by Michael Jackson. It's actually the best-selling hard rock album of all time and the best-selling album ever released by an Australian musical act, despite never reaching number 1 on the US Billboard 200. It has been certificated 22 times multi-platinum on the 13th of December 2007 by the RIAA, donating 22 million albums sold. It's currently placed at sixth in the list of best-selling albums in the US. Back in Black, when it came out, stayed in the Billboard charts for 131 weeks, but never reached number 1. However, it did reach number 1 in Australia and the UK, and in April 2010 it re-entered the Billboard charts at number 181. In 2014 it re-entered again on the Billboard charts at number 73. The album has also sold 1 million or more copies in Canada, Germany and France, and the album has sold more than 50 million copies. Now on to your track listings. Now track listings. Now unfortunately I actually don't have a digital copy of this album, so previously what I've just done is just read down what songs are on this. So on side 1, their first song is Hell's Bells, which was released as a single. And then Shoot to Thrill, which was released as a single as well. What Do You Do for Money, Honey, Giving the Dog a Bone, Let Me Put My Love Into You. Then on side 2, Back in Black and You Shook Me All Night Long was released as singles. Have a Drink on Me, Shake a Leg and Rock and Roll Ain't No Noise Pollution, it was also released as a single. Now on to charts and certification. So charts and certification. So this album has been on a load of has ranked quite a lot in charts. So I'm only doing like the top 10. So on the weekly charts on Austrians albums chart over Austria, it went to number 6. In France, the IFOP went to number 1. Same in the UK's albums chart, OCC went to number 1. The German albums of Israel top 100 went to number 3, and in the US Billboard 200 it went to number 4. In 1981, on Australian's Camp Music Report, it went to number 1. Same with in Canada, it went to number 1 in their top albums and CDs. Fine, RPM. It was on the charts again in 82, 91, 2001 and 2002. But did not reach any like top 10 in any of the weekly charts. 2003 was in France, the IFOP went to number 1. Again, it was not on the charts again in 2004. It was on the charts in 2004, but did not reach the top 10 in any weekly charts. 2005, the Norwegian albums VG Lista, it went to number 8. It was on the charts again in 2007, 2008, but did not reach the top 10 in any weekly charts. 2009, the Finnish albums, pardon my Finnish isn't very good. The Suomen Virgin Lista, it went to number 9. 2010, the US Billboard Top Pop category, it went to number 1. It was on the charts again in 2011, but did not reach any top 10 in any weekly charts. 2012, it went to number 4 in the US Billboard 200. It was the same again in 2013, and in the US Billboard Top Pop category, it went to number 1, and it stayed on number 1 in as well in 2013. 2014, it was on the US Billboard 200 again at number 4, and on the US Billboard Top Pop category again it was at number 1. So at year's end charts, Canada's top albums / CDs. In 1980, RPM it was at number 47, and in France's IFOP it went to number 2. Charts in 1981, Canada's top charts / CDs RPM, it went to number 9, and in Italy FIMI it went to number 48. The sales and certification for this album. So in Argentina, the CFPIF went platinum, selling 60,000 records. Austria, the IFPI Austria went platinum, 50,000 records. Canada, Music Canada went diamond, selling over 1 million records. France, SNEP, it went 2 times platinum, selling over 1,394,900. Germany, the BVMI went 2 times platinum, selling over 1 million records. Italy, again, it went 2 times platinum, sold over 200,000. Spain, the Promazigay, if that's how you say it in Spanish, it went gold, selling 50,000 records. In Sweden, the Switzerland, the IFPIS Switzerland went 2 times platinum, selling over 100,000 records. United Kingdom, BPI, it went platinum, 300,000 records. In the United States, it went 22. The RIAA went 22 platinum, selling over 22 million copies. So now on to my review of this album. So my review on the album. Now I would rate this album 10 out of 10. Now, like the Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon and Queen's Night of the Opera from the first season of Vinyl Freeze and the Meatloaf Bat Out of Hell from this series, with those and with this album, I find it hard what to say about these albums. Like this album is such a brilliant album. I'm gonna just get a wee bit more light. Right, there you go. So yes, it's such a brilliant album. There are so many good songs on this album, and it's one of my all-time favorite albums. Like, this was on my wish list for to have a vinyl for a long time. I got this album at Christmas there, just passed. It's not original, it's a remastered, and it's a new album. The only problem I find with new vinyls compared to old ones, these ones seem to scratch more easily, even if you play them a couple of times. And with mine, it skips once in every song. But I don't really worry about that. Like, but the sound on the songs on the sounds of the songs on vinyl just sounds good. And my one is in a good condition. When I actually got this album, funny enough, I usually stick the vinyl on right away, but I just kind of waited for a while to put it on. Then when it just felt right, I just put it on. It felt special to me because it just the songs sound so much better on vinyl than digitally. Like, I have been a big AC/DC fan since I was about 11 years old. They're from nearly 10 years ago. They were the first band I properly got into. They're that band like Kiss, like I'm really into. Like, I have a few CDC t-shirts, which I have worn in videos. One was actually a Back in Black t-shirt I've had for a few years. I never really got to see them live. They never came to my country, but they played Dublin there a few years ago. But I was a year too young for the age requirements to go to that gig. You had to be 16. I was only about 15 at the time. I've got into like a load of these songs on these albums when I first listened to them. And Brian Johnson here of the band I was mostly into. I didn't really listen to Bon Scott's ear until later on. This album was the first AC/DC album I've listened to in full. I just listened to songs off their albums. After this album, their next album was good. After that, I think there was a bit of a slope. Then in the early 90s, with then when they brought out the Razor's Edge, it would be up there with Back in Black. Mid 90s to mid 2000s again, a bit of a slope. By the way, these albums, I'm not saying they're bad. They had good songs on them, especially ones from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And I would say Black Ice is up there as well with Back in Black. Rock and Bust, their latest album. It's a good album. Not having Malcolm on it, I don't know. It's just not the same kind of feeling. When I feel about the band now, it's a bit sad. Pretty much all the members are gone except Angus. I have to say, fair play to Angus to keep CDC alive, bringing like old members on Axl Rose in, but I don't feel it's the same. Yeah, Axl Rose is good singing Welcome to the Jungle, but Back in Black, I just don't get the same feeling. But I feel now like Angus should wrap up AC/DC. Like, they've been around for over 40 years and they've brought some brilliant albums out. But all in all, back to this album is bloody brilliant and they're a bloody great band. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap this video up because it's kind of started to get a bit dark now. I've got this light behind me just to give a bit of light, but anyway, let's wrap this video up. So guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. So this video was recorded over 2 days and I kind of ran out a bit of daylight there, so I've kind of just got this light on, that's why. So I kind of wrote this album, I kind of wrote the script while doing this video. So I'm pretty much going to be doing that for the next couple of videos. So anyway, and this one will probably be going up as late as expected. So yeah, I will get the rest of the Noel Gallagher videos up. I think I've nearly got them all up. I will get them up before my Liam Gallagher gig on Saturday. I will be getting the next few final reviews up as well over the next couple of days, and I will be getting some car video up as well. So hope you like this video, and I guess see ya.